Hello and welcome to the VegasOdds YouTube channel for a very special show where we'll be looking at the big boxing fight this weekend, Anthony Joshua against Oleksandr Usyk. I'm also quite excited because I'll be doing it with one of my best mates, Joe Hatton. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright, mate, not too bad. I'm glad things have opened up again, so I'm very happy.
Excited for the fight this weekend?
Oh, I can't wait. It's the first big fight in a while now, isn't it?
It's just such a huge fight. Anthony Joshua against Oleksandr Usyk for the WBA Super, the IBF, the WBO and the IBO heavyweight titles of the world, taking place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Joe, I don't know about you, but I keep going back and forth on who's going to win this.
It's an interesting one because you've got the best cruiserweight, the unified cruiserweight champion, against obviously the unified heavyweight champion. So they've all got the belts, but they're just obviously different divisions. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Obviously, AJ, he struggles against the smaller fighters. He's struggled previously before. And with Usyk, what's he like at heavyweight? He struggled a little bit against Chisora. He got the win, but I don't think it was a convincing win. So he needs to step it up against AJ.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about the smaller guy, because obviously we can all remember now the Andy Ruiz fight. It just sticks in your memory because that air of invincibility is just gone, hasn't it, now with Joshua? And you just worry whenever he gets in the ring now. Like you just don't think he can get the job done you're not as confident as you once were that you could. No,
I think in that fight, in the first fight anyway, he looked very vulnerable. It was very easy to hit. But what I will say though, the rematch, he did what he had to do, didn't he? It was a perfect display. So he learned from his mistakes, but he needs to stay focused for this fight, because if he doesn't, then Usyk is a top fighter, so he'll take advantage and he can win this.
I think that's the thing, you always forget, don't you, that they are like professional athletes and they are not machines. He might not be at his best, Joshua, and I think that's possibly the only way that he loses on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a big, obviously with boxing, it's a massively down to the mental side, isn't it? So if AJ underestimates Usyk, he's not on his A game, then I really can see an Usyk win.
Usyk's kind of like IQ in the ring. He's just got so much to like about him. It's just whether, I don't think we've seen the best of him at heavyweight just yet. He wasn't the best against Chaz Witherspoon and against Derek Chisora. There were moments where he looked a bit vulnerable before obviously getting the job done in the end.
He obviously won the fight, but he didn't look great. If he wants to be AJ, he needs to be at his best. If he's not, then I don't give him a chance if he's not at his best. But I do think he will step up for this fight. And the things with Usyk, what I like about him, he will fight anyone. He's proven that at cruiserweight. I think it's his third fight now at heavyweight, and he's already fighting Anthony Joshua. Deserves a lot of credit, really.
The Tony Bellew one that was a cruiserweight against Tony Bellew. I always thought that was a heavyweight contest because Tony Bellew was messing around with David Hay for a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
It was a cruiserweight fight, that was, for the titles?
Yes, that was when Usyk had all the titles, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, that was his last fight in the cruiserweights.
Yeah.
Is Tony Bellew a good measuring stick for a heavyweight fight? I don't think he is.
For a heavyweight fight, no, not really, no. But obviously cruiserweight, certainly. But it is a tricky one, isn't it?
I'll get into the odds then first. So AJ is 4-11 on, so he's the pretty heavy favourite to win this. And Usyk at 9-4, which I think is a really, really good value pick. So what do you think then, Joe? Give me a prediction.
If AJ's on his A game, which I think he will be, I'm going to go with an AJ win. I don't think he'll be comfortable though. There'll be a lot of problems there, because he's a top fighter. He's got a really good boxing IQ. At times, I do think AJ's going to be outboxed. However, I think AJ being the bigger man, he's going to be putting all that weight on him. He's going to be holding him. That's going to tire Usyk out. So I think it will be a late KO for AJ. I'm thinking between 7 and 9 rounds, it's going to be a knockout for AJ.
I think that's a pretty good pick. That I just like the odds for Usyk are just ridiculous, really, because I think you just need Joshua to be just below his best, and I think that Usyk's got a major chance of winning this. And he's not a nobody.
Oh no, exactly. I completely agree. I mean, if AJ's not on his 110% ready for this, then it's Usyk's all day long.
It always feels difficult talking about Joshua without the major elephant in the room, where this was not really the heavyweight title fight that anybody really wanted.
The star-studded fight which we all wanted was obviously Fury and AJ. So you got Usyk, AJ and Fury fighting Wilder again, which we don't want to see, but they're still good fights. So we'll watch them, but it's not what we wanted, is it really?
No, you just want everything to go off really without a hitch, and Fury wins against Wilder in a couple of weeks, and obviously Joshua wins on Saturday, and then finally you would fancy the chances of actually seeing that fight happen, like early next year, I guess.
If they both get past the fights with no major injuries, I'd say like May time next year. And that'll probably be in like Saudi Arabia, I think, won't it?
I think I've been saying to you for a couple of months, so I would be very, very surprised if we get through to that fight without a hitch. I was always kind of convinced it was going to be Joshua losing to Usyk rather than, because I can't see like a way that Fury loses to Wilder, because he's far, far superior.
I think with that one, with the Fury-Wilder fight, obviously Fury's got Wilder's number now. He knows exactly how to beat him. The only thing I will say though, has he prepared for the fight? Is he mentally ready? If he is, then should be an easy win. But if he isn't, then obviously Wilder's big puncher, make one mistake and you're gone. So
I think that's the most interesting thing. I think the pressure on Fury will be heightened if Joshua wins on Saturday, because then there'll be a lot of expectation on him just to win.
Oh yeah, there'll be loads of pressure on Fury. What I will say with Fury though, this will be his second camp with Sugar Ray, his new trainer. Obviously, the game plan in the last fight was spot on. You would have thought he'd only improve with his new trainer. Whereas Wilder, he's got Malik Scott, who he wasn't a great heavyweight, and this is the first time he's training him, so he's very inexperienced. So a lot of question marks in Wilder's camp.
But I think we're going to do a preview show again in a couple of weeks for that actual fight. So we're going to end it on that one, and then obviously next time when we talk about the fight, we will know potentially who the unification fight will involve.
Oh well, we all know what I want to see, so fingers crossed.
Yeah. So next we're going to talk about the Lawrence Okolie against Dylan Prasovic fight, which I'm going to guess is going to serve as the kind of fight just before the main event. Okolie is a very, very heavy favourite here, 1-25 on. Prasovic is 8-1. The fight is for the WBO cruiserweight title. Is there any possible way that Okolie gets beaten here?
I don't think so, to be honest, because obviously he's just won the world title. It was a brilliant display, just a boxing masterclass really. And as long as he just uses his boxing IQ, just like boxes him, uses his jab, his superior height, then I can't see him losing really.
No, I think this is a pretty routine win. I'll be amazed if he goes to a decision. I think we'll be looking at a pretty early finish at stoppage in this. Do you think?
I'd go with a late stoppage. Well, I say late, I say 7 rounds onwards. Yeah, it should be a convincing win really. And the thing is with Okolie as well, because he's so big, I think he will eventually go up to heavyweight as well.
Well, that'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because he sparred with AJ before, hasn't he, the mate? So
that'd be interesting. I feel like Joshua might be kind of done by the time we get to that point.
Yeah, potentially.
Final word on that one, thanks. We'll quickly go through the undercard. Your prediction for that one? Okolie knockout?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the ninth round Okolie knockout.
I think it might be a bit early on that myself. I'm going to go about 4.
Oh, okay, go for it, yeah.
So next up, we've got the return of Callum Smith, also on the undercard, against Lenin Castillo. I mean, Callum Smith is a pretty big draw for this undercard, really. His last fight was against Canelo, what felt like it was a lifetime ago now. But I'm excited to see him back in the ring on Saturday.
Well, he's moving up to light heavy, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He's always been big for the weight at super middle, so be interesting, obviously, his first fight light heavy, how he'll get on. I think that suits him. He was always too big for super middle, really. I think this could be his ideal weight, and I can see him winning a world title in this division. Obviously, he lost to Canelo. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit disappointed with his performance. I know it's Canelo and he's one of the best, but I just expected a little bit more. I don't know, maybe I was asking too much.
Yeah, I think Canelo's just a bit of a super freak, isn't he? Like, any time he gets in the ring with anybody, you kind of fancy him now.
Exactly, because going into that fight, Smith was like 6'4", isn't he? He towered over Canelo, but his jab was non-existent that fight. He didn't use it, so that credit goes to Canelo.
Yeah, he's always got an answer, but I struggle to think that Castillo is going to have the same answer on Saturday. So are we both going to go for a very, very comfortable win for Callum Smith here?
To be honest, I don't know too much about his opponent, but what I will say, I'll go with an early KO within 4 rounds for Smith.
Outright to win the fight is actually 1-50 on, which is one of the shortest prices of the night, and then Castillo is 10-1, which is absolutely huge. So the final fight we're going to talk about in the undercard is Campbell Hatton against Sonny Martinez. Again, the odds are very similar to the last fight. Hatton is 1-50 on, Martinez is 10-1. I don't know about you, but I'm just looking forward to Hatton kind of stepping up against someone much better. I'm kind of a bit fed up with him fighting nobodies at the moment.
He needs to be tested, doesn't he? He needs a little bit of a war. See how he reacts. What's his opponent's record like? Is it a bit of a step up?
I don't think it's much of a step up. I feel like he's lost a couple in his career anyway. and I think he's probably lost a couple in the past couple of years.
Could be a bit of a journeyman again.
Yeah, because I think the opponent's changed very last minute on this, because he was meant to be fighting somebody else, but I think his original opponent actually lost a couple of weeks ago, so they've switched it. But even so, he's going to have absolutely no issue. Is he getting through this?
No, I agree. He shouldn't have any issue, but I think he needs to take his time. He needs the rounds at this early stage in his career. The more rounds he can get, the better. Just take your time. Don't go for the early knockout. Just get the rounds in. Go for the points decision.
I totally agree with you. I think it's going to be a points decision for Hatton on this.
Yeah, I'll go with the points then, yeah.
But it should be a cracking weekend of boxing, shouldn't it? It should be super exciting to see boxing back at a stadium.
It's just nice to see like a massive fight again, pay-per-view, an AJ fight, and obviously it's in England as well, the new Tottenham ground, so it's great.
Perfect. Joe, thanks so much for joining us for the show today.
No problem at all, I've enjoyed it.
And thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we're back with you in a couple of weeks' time to talk about the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight in the States. But for now, thank you and good night.